I'm going to be talking about orgasms, love, and trauma, and the link between that. And I know that the last few lives, I was talking a lot about the liver, and I was talking about having, oh, what's going on here? I was talking about the liver and how the liver and anger are really important in order to basically be able to, let's say, create in the physical dimension. You know, we're working on getting into relationship with our, fantastic, yeah, we're working on getting into the relationship with the liver, and also with our anger, actually, which is an amazing, powerful, beautiful thing to do. However, oh, here we go. Okay. Now we're going to be looking basically at the kidneys. We're going to be looking at love. We're going to be looking at connection. We're going to be looking at essentially how to have a better relationship with our own sexual energy. And that's about the connection with our own bodies and the connection with a partner as well. So as I said, yeah, I'll be checking any questions. So if any questions are coming up, don't feel stupid, because I'm sure other people are wondering as well, you know. And what I'm talking about, this isn't your average kind of tantra or conscious sexuality workshop. This is like really, really nerdy stuff that goes back thousands and thousands of years. In fact, it goes back, some say it was written down 4,500 years ago, based on this ancient folklore and knowledge that had been around for God knows how many thousands of years before. I mean, this stuff is like an incredible gift that we still have access to it today. It's been handed down from master to master to master over thousands of years. It was literally almost lost on a few times, like Kublai Khan almost destroyed it all. Except he demanded that a Taoist monk go and start training his soldiers and his children and so on. And because that guy, the Taoist monk, went to train, that he didn't destroy the whole, you know, basically all of Taoism. So we still have this amazing, amazing knowledge today, which I would just say we need it now, you know, at this time when, and I'll be talking really, really soon about how much like misinformation we're being fed about sexuality, like from all sides. You know, and it's really robbing us from our sexual power. So just before we start, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jade Lotus. I hope that you, if you're on Facebook, hopefully you're on my Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook, I totally understand why you're not on Facebook. You can also be joining my email list or my YouTube channel as well to watch my videos. So I've studied and practiced Taoist alchemy for over a decade. And through this practice, I managed to blow the lid off of my anorgasmia and simultaneously cure chronic health problems, addictions, and start manifesting creativity and abundance. So basically, I'd been going through life with all these various different health problems, diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, backache every day, like really kind of crippling back pain. I was addicted to using cannabis to get to sleep because of anxiety. You know, I was just sick all the time, getting urinary tract infections, colds, everything, you know. I'd been trying all these different remedies to address all these different things, and nothing was working. And I was just like, you know, I'm sick of this, right? And then there was just one thing in the middle that was just so frustrating, which was I never was having orgasms, you know. And it just came to me, this Taoist stuff, it just came to me. And I was like, wow, can I learn how to have an orgasm? And I started getting into these practices because ultimately this works by you sitting down, hacking the energy field and doing the practices. And I started doing the practices. I started going through, you know, the process, and over a period of a couple of months, not did I only go from never having had an orgasm to being multi-orgasmic, and I would have been quite happy with one orgasm, but I actually managed to just find, like, all my interest in cannabis was gone. I was sleeping fine. My anxiety just became like a dull little, you know, thing in the background, whereas it had been like really, really overwhelming. My back pain gone, 100% gone, you know, and I like I said, I've been every day I was having like really intense back pain. I didn't want to take painkillers, so I was like lying down in bed like in the afternoon because of it, you know, which is not a way to live your life essentially. And but even more amazingly, and this is what I was talking about in the last couple of lives, which are on my YouTube, they're in my group if you want to go look at them, if you haven't seen them, is that essentially I was looking at like how to be able to how when we actually really activate the sexual energy, this amazing, incredible thing happens within the body, that our vision is activated and we suddenly start getting fed this like superfood for the soul that enables us onto the path of our destiny. So it's really, really incredible. And in a moment, I'm going to be explaining how your body is actually an alchemical chamber. And when you balance the energies out in your body, everything starts falling into place. Diseases just disappear. You know, so if you guys are familiar with the Taoist Grandmaster Mantak Chia, I studied with him. I recommend to check out his YouTube videos. It's deep stuff, it's intense stuff. It's definitely better to study with other people first before you go to study with him. I studied with a lot of different Taoist teachers. I'm also a certified Tantra educator, and I've helped thousands of people to get in touch with their energy, emotions, and sexuality through paid sessions. And then if you look at everybody I've influenced, you know, on social media, I would say it's looking at like tens of thousands of people. And sometimes I just literally get someone, I never heard of them before, messaging me on Instagram going, I've been following you for like 2 years and I've just had like my first G-spot orgasm because I was like following, you know, your instruction in this blog you wrote. And I'm just like, yeah, it's amazing, you know, when you touch people's lives in this way. And I do believe orgasms are very, very important. They're not just some little thing of getting off, which we're told they are. You're going to see this in a minute. Here's me with Grandmaster Mantak Chia. And okay, so just before we start, over these 3 days, I do put a disclaimer here because these are such powerful energies. If you get one of Mantak Chia's books, you're going to see in the beginning of the book, it says, don't practice this without a teacher. It's no joke. I've had people come to me who've developed all kinds of health problems from practicing these books, these things off of YouTube videos or out of books. I mean, the best thing that happens is probably going to be like nothing, but you know, as Western people, when we play with these energies, it's very easy to harm ourselves because we don't understand what they're about. It's very different from, you know, if you say to a Chinese person, squeeze your anus, they're going to understand it's an energetic exercise. Even if I tell you as a Westerner, it's an energetic exercise, you have no comprehension in all likelihood what it means, you know? So the Taoist practices that we look at are taught in a specific way, in a specific order, and malpractice can result in serious and permanent health problems. So it includes taking practices out of context, you know, like if you have practices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, you don't want to jump in on practice number 15 and start doing it without having done all the preliminaries. So yeah, and Kundalini syndrome is a real thing. The energy is not a toy, but when we learn to harness it for our good, it's incredible what it can do. And what I'm covering here is based on the work that I have developed and evolved with my clients. And if you're interested in a free 15-minute consultation, I would say send me a WhatsApp message. I've just put my WhatsApp number there. I can stick here in the chat. And just to say, well done to all you guys who've come here today and attended. You know, that you want to listen to this stuff, this really nerdy stuff that I have to share. You know, this is not quite like watching EastEnders or maybe going to a Tantra workshop where it's just talking about sex, because this is much, much deeper. And I would just say to follow this path, it does take a certain amount of discipline as well. But I find, in my opinion, self-discipline is the highest form of self-love. So I definitely don't regret developing a somewhat disciplined life around this. So this is a highly complex system that works by developing your skills to cultivate, transmute, refine, and store energies. It's kind of like practice magic. These are potent and volatile energies that include sexual energy that we tap into that can harm as well as heal. So I don't recommend to practice it without guidance. that said, the benefits of embarking on this path are often felt in weeks of starting. I mean, I had have a lady who I'm working with, and she was saying to me, "Oh, Jade, I'm so sorry, I haven't been doing the practices properly, not as much as you asked." She said, "But something really amazing has happened." Yeah, so she had this gynecological problem with her cervix that the doctors were wanting to remove part of the inside of her vagina, which is becoming quite common with women. And they'd been monitoring this problem for 2 years. She'd been refusing the operation, really didn't want to get it. And she's like, the problem's gone. It's just disappeared, you know? So it's incredible how this can affect so many different layers of our life when we start doing it. And it is about working with the sexuality, but most sex coaches think working with sexuality is just about sex that's kind of separated from the rest of our lives. Whereas with this, what we're actually saying is sexual energy created us. It's central to who we are. When we activate our sexual energy, everything in our life kind of starts falling into place and coming together. So because this work is holistic, its powerful effects are felt through every layer of life. For example, CEOs that I work with literally find benefits to their whole company within weeks of starting. Same thing if someone is having a problem with their relationship, they come to me, they don't need to bring their partner. Often, you know, dragging an unwilling partner into therapy is not helpful. You know, I've had people's relationships that are about to fall apart, you know, and end up in a rather expensive divorce, like literally just come back together incredibly, you know, getting messages saying, wow, like this is the most, we're having like more sex now than we've had for the last 2 years, you know. So this stuff is really incredible. It's really, really powerful. Like this is like true, like sex magic. And so the love and orgasm link, and this is what we're looking all at today, love, orgasm, and also trauma, and how does trauma affect this? Okay, so according to the Tao, a healthy sexuality comprises of 2 energy centers, the orgasmic center and the love center. It's basically the heart chakra and the sacral chakra. Healthy sexuality comprises a 50-50 ratio of each, and the energies should be connected and flowing together. So out of interest, who here, are you interested to learn how to connect these energies and flow them together today? If you are, give me a 7 in the chat. I'll see if enough of you want it. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So on the most basic level, I'll say. So here's a nice image of me, and I've stuck a heart by the heart center and a little fire by my sacral chakra, although theoretically that's actually should be the water element in this sexual center and the fire element in the heart. So the love center is situated in the heart, and the sexual center where the womb is on the woman. So it's not your genitals, actually, it's where the womb is on the woman that we say is the sexual center. So the heart center contains the loving energy of the fire element, and the sexual center contains the orgasmic, wise, and peaceful energy of the element of fire. Looks like I've almost got enough 7s to do that practice. So you'll be finding out how that all works, hopefully, if I can get a couple more 7s, guys. So let's have a look at healthy sexuality from the point of view of Taoism. And I don't know who here remembers sex education in school. I mean, I remember in British school being told kind of, you know, certain details, at least, about the biology. I remember when I was in high school in America for a year, and they were like, if you have sex and you're not married, you're going to get AIDS and you're going to die. You know, this was basically what we were getting told. And I mean, okay, that's fear mongering at the extreme, but I think, of course, we should be aware about sexual diseases. Of course, we should be aware about pregnancy and whether we want pregnancy or not. Yeah, this is absolutely essential, but it's not really what sexual health is all about. I'm curious, has anyone here had a horror story of sex education in school that kind of traumatized you? If you have, and you feel able to share, I'd love to hear what that is, because in a minute we're going to be talking about how this kind of programming around our sexuality like really damages us. So according to the Tao, it is essential that these energy centers are connected and that the energy is flowing up and down and transforming. So you can see this in tribal people who walk around naked with no sexual morals but have no sex crimes. So those so-called savages, right, that run around naked in the jungle, that we are told, you know, we were told in the past, certainly, that they're uncivilized and so on. They've actually been studied by anthropologists and found that in those societies, there's actually no examples of rape, child abuse, you know, women complaining about being treated like second-class citizens. It's not happening there. Interesting, right? You know, today we are taught that sexual organs are dirty and that we need to hide them and hide our sexuality. And even so-called sex positive are still going to think, you know, that somehow it's something we need to be separating off from the rest of us, you know. Now, I'm not telling you to go and do this, but one of the tribes that I read a lot about that I'm really interested in is called the Yaquana, who are in Venezuela today. So the parents have sex just in the room with the children sitting around. Is no taboo around it. I mean, I don't think they're reenacting a porno scene the way we think of sex. And soon we're going to be looking at different ways to have sex, right? Essentially. So, you know, then on the other hand, we're given porn, we're taught we have our needs, you know, that this is some kind of mechanical milking that we need to do to ourselves, you know, so it just becomes very dehumanized. If you look at porn, mostly what you're seeing is the love is robbed. You know, I'd say 99% of porn is devoid of any kind of love. Of course, it's really different from erotica of you know, the 80s and 90s erotica, which was showing romance stories and then with sex in it. This is very, very different. Can I just say, if you've not muted yourself, please kindly do mute. So the result is we're disconnected from our sexuality. And so we treat our sexual organs very roughly, and that is traumatic. So, I mean, my background is in tantric body work. My background is in Karsai body work, which is Taoist massage of the whole body, the abdomen, the sexual organs. And I can tell you, sexual organs are actually very, very delicate. You know, when a man grabs his penis regularly like this, you know, I mean, I don't know if you're a penis owner or see people's penises, but a lot of penises are kind of bent over to one side when they're actually supposed to be straight, which is caused by that. It actually can shorten the penis by 2 to 3 inches, like incorrect self-massage, because the Taoists practice self-massage for thousands of years. The father would teach their son, how do you massage your penis? Because it was considered really important for health. But this is a gentle, slow practice. It's not the you know, beating out the sexual energy because you're so frustrated, you don't know what to do with it. So let's have a look at energy blockages, because how does this flow of energy between the heart and the sexual center get blocked up? So energy blocks build up when we experience emotions that we do not process. So emotions are a very important part of our sexuality. A lot of people with sexual problems get kind of told by the doctor, well, go see a psychologist. I mean, they can see a psychologist for a long time without really getting the results. Because it's working in the brain, it's actually not working in these blockages in the body. So another word for this is programming, because we are programmed with traumas. You know, when we look how many hundreds and thousands of years, actually, we've been taught these things like be ashamed of your body, hide your body, your sexuality is shameful, your sexuality is dangerous. You could, if you show your sexuality, someone might hurt you, or if you feel your sexual energy, you might hurt someone else. You know, how many little boys are being taught that their penises are weapons and dangerous things, instead of the sacred things their penises were considered to be in the past. So the typical block is around the pubic bone, and it often consists of lumps and bumps and discomfort. It's caused by shaming about sexuality and occurs when we tense to keep the sexual energy down. So if you imagine that little boy being told something is wrong with his penis, something's wrong with his sexual energy, he's trying to hide it. I mean, just the other day, a gentleman told me that he'd been in school as a young kid. I don't know how old he was, maybe 10 or 12. He was sitting in class, he got an erection, which is 100% natural. And the teacher at that moment had said to him, can you come to the front? And he's like, I think it's not a good idea right now. And she insisted, so he's gone up to the front, she's seen the erection, she's got really angry at him and literally taking him to the principal's office. You know, It's not like he was pulling his penis out and showing it to people, you know. This was just like when you think like it's just an example of the shaming, you know, that people go through. And I think especially us as women, we're not aware about the shaming that's put onto men, just as men are often not aware about the shaming we go under and the way that we feel very unsafe. Very, very often, that most women will go on a first date actually thinking, how can I make sure this guy isn't going to rape me? You know, whereas guys might be thinking the opposite. How do I know she's not going to accuse me of raping her? You know, this shaming about sexuality, which often starts around 3 to 4 years old, because there's a natural burst of hormones around 3 to 4 years old, which causes the child to start touching their genitals because they start getting sensations, and often they're told off. At the same time, they're not experiencing normal amounts of hugs. Another very common blockage is just under the heart here, just in the solar plexus. It's very, very common in men. And it means that when many men start to try to move up the sexual energy, if they haven't cleared the blockages, what's going to happen is the sexual energy will come up just below the heart, which is where it really needs to go to transform. And then it will bounce down into the liver and start causing angry outbreaks. So it's caused by fear of love, and it develops due to the lack of healthy affection from parents as a child. So a young baby is brought into the world programmed to basically get cuddled and suck on breasts. And many, many young children are not getting those basic needs met. They're being left to scream out and cry out, which is causing a big trauma for baby boys, especially the belief starts to form, all women are going to betray me. And this causes a block under the heart. And it's why a lot of men will find casual sex or watching porn is easier than actually connecting with real women. And sometimes men, when they're having sex, can have all kinds of emotions come up. And that's why adrenalized sex, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment, is really popular. So puritanical culture is designed to block these energies. So it programs us to block us off from these energies that can give us these amazing erotic sensual experiences. But the erotic sensual experiences are about so much more than just getting off as we think. This is about everything in our lives. And porn plays into the same dynamic because it separates love from sexuality. So certainly the porn industry separates love from sexual energy, and it's causing the same blockage that was caused by religion. So let's have a look at what are sexual symptoms, because there's all kinds of symptoms we can get from these blockages. A really, really common one is back pain, especially lower back pain, heart problems. But let's look at these sexual symptoms. So the sexual pressure, the buildup, the urges, the so-called addiction, feelings of guilt and confusion about sexuality, lack of sensations, difficulty with orgasm and feeling pleasure, premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, lack of internal orgasms in women, problems with period, menopause and gynecological issues, and cancers of the genitals. So when we're not feeling comfortable with the sexual energy, what happens is that over years and years and years, we start building up so much tension around the sexual organs that we actually just block up the energy there, literally with tension. And when we talk about blocked energy, we're talking about blocked blood flow, blocked lymphatic flow. Things aren't flowing properly. And then these problems start to develop and happen that actually can lead to cancers. You know, there's actually been scientific studies done that show that women who have cervical orgasms are far less likely to get cervical cancer than women who don't. Part of that, I'd say, is probably you're getting better sex if you're having better cervical orgasms, because if the vagina is not relaxed and opened and you're banging inside to the vagina, you're basically going to be causing a lot of tension in the cervix, and that tension will stop the cells from regenerating. So moving on to the next. Just give me one. Oh, okay. So I'm going to start now looking here at two types of sex, adrenalized sex and expansive sex. Let me just turn this off for a moment. If you know what is the difference between the two, I'm really... Yeah. Someone said here, the public school sex ed compared sex before marriage to wearing tennis shoes a bunch of times, then giving them to someone as a... Yeah, I've heard things like that before, you know. Yeah, bye-bye, Noor. So I'm curious, do you know the difference between these? If you know the difference, give me a 3. We got loads of people wanting to watch that. So I know there's people here I've explained this to already. Okay, so adrenalized sex, you can call it like standard Western sex, standard American sex, or whatever you want to call it, but like the standard American diet. So that's SAD, this is SAS, right? So genital based, rapid breathing, hard and fast, clitoris or ejaculation, release as a goal. We can kind of say it's ego-based sex, yeah. But also, what are you doing? Yeah, what's happening if you're panting? You're running away from something. You're avoiding your feelings. You don't know how to deal with your body. And breathing is very, very important part of this. So expansive sex, we can call it tantric sex, Taoist sex, you know, and the Taoists believe that when you went into this expansive sexual state, literally your whole body would rejuvenate at the cellular level. And the tantrists believe it would literally bring about enlightenment. So full body, slow breath, slow or even not moving, full body orgasm, connection and expansion. So, okay, all right. So I'm just going to read this out to you. And this is one of my clients. He sent me this after working with me for literally a couple of weeks. He said, "Hey, Jade, after years of repressing my feelings and venting them with massive effort, I finally was able to cry after 3 years. I always search in the internet about emotions and how to release them, but I was never able to do so, even with long exercises. This week totally changed my life, and I'm just in week 2 of working with you. Finally, I have no sexual pressure anymore, and I can accept the feelings of sexual energy, so I don't have to ejaculate or watch porn to slow me down. Now I can use this energy to go forward in life without being a victim of my own craving," right? So this is like literally 2 weeks. Yeah, this guy had been struggling with porn addiction for like 20 years. Yeah, he'd been having like massive issues with his problems. I mean, are you looking at this and thinking, what, is Jade making this up, right? Yeah. How can people sit with psychologists maybe for years with these problems like porn addiction? People go into Sex Anonymous or whatever it's called, you know, and spend like years, decades, yeah, fighting their urges. How can this have happened that this guy, yeah, I'm curious if anyone has any idea, how could that guy have gone that quickly? Okay, I'm not saying everyone goes that quickly, but normally with things like this, yeah, within 4 weeks, I would expect that the urges is basically disappeared, right? I'm really curious if anybody has an idea, right, what happened there with the guy. And maybe over the next screens, you're going to start guessing, right, what happened with this guy. So your body is an alchemical chamber. This is like amazing, right? Look at this diagram. So this is this ancient Taoist knowledge that was written down like literally thousands of years ago. And this is what Qigong practice, Tai Chi practice is all based around this whole same theory. Acupuncture as well. Pretty much all the Eastern medicines are based on this. So we are created out of sexual energy and orgasm. Within us, as an organism, you see, this is the source energy that feeds our meridians. So it comes from a point we call the Huiyin, which is right in between your anus and sexual organs. If you put your hand down there and you put your hand under your balls or in front of your vagina, you should kind of find a little dip there that it may feel pleasurable. It may be more difficult to find if it's blocked. It may feel a little bit not so nice if it's blocked. but this point is the huidian. It's like the first acupuncture point in the whole body. So you might identify connecting this with the horny feeling you get between your legs. So this energy is referred to as Jing, but Jing is more than sexual energy. Jing is also our DNA. It's kind of the raw basic material that we're made out of. So for example, if you take a litter of puppies, right, and there's one really strong that's kind of trying to kill all the others and climbing all over them, that one's got the strong Jing, yeah. The little runt has got the lower Jing, yeah. But okay. All right. If there's a problem with hearing me, please type in the chat if it's fine. See. Something went wrong with the sound. Is it fixed now? Because I just got some notifications that something was funny with the sound. I think it's gone back to okay now. So, okay now, yeah. I don't know what just happened then, but okay, we're back. Fantastic. Right. Okay. So when you get that feeling of horniness between your legs, you're feeling your Jing, you're feeling your life force. Yeah, that's a good thing. It's an amazing, sacred, blessed thing. And when that energy can travel up your body, right, it can then start basically feeding your body and rejuvenating your body, and it can start inspiring and upgrading your whole body. Okay. But then what happens if someone's told you from a young age that you've got to repress it, and it becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit that's so deeply programmed into your body, you can't just think it away, and you actually aren't accessing all this really, really important energy. So the natural flow of this energy, the Jing, is to rise up and to transform in your belly from the feeling of horniness. So this is what we call the lower dantian, which is about an inch below your belly button in the middle of your body. And this is basically where you, where the Jing transforms into chi. So you can imagine it's going from like a horny feeling to an energized feeling. So people with so-called sex addiction or problems with urges and so on, or that feeling of sexual energy, you probably know what I'm talking about. That's the energy that's blocked, and it's not even moving up to the first level in your belly, which is really, really problematic, right? If it's not actually going to there. The second stage, as long as it's going to there, you're kind of okay, right? Because then it's going to naturally go up to your heart. It's going to start activating the energy center inside of your heart. So yeah, it transforms in the belly from the feelings of horniness to the feeling of vitality as it becomes chi energy in your lower dantian. So here, maybe we can see the dantians a little better. Here's the abdominal dantian, the heart center, or the heart dantian. Okay, the dantian is not the same as the sexual center. The sexual center is below, down here. So the natural process, and this is alchemy, alchemization. The natural process is to move through the three energy centers or dantians, transforming from feeling horny to feeling energized, chi. Then it moves into the heart, it transforms into something called shen. It's like the feeling of love, more or less. Okay, it's more than that, but I think love is a good word because we don't really have the translation for words like shen and jing and so on. As this energy reaches your heart, it meets the red, loving energy of the heart, and that transforms into a purple energy. So the purple energy is really, really important because in the universe, we have a few different kinds of energy. We have golden energy and we have violet light, and that violet light, it basically has the ability to like heal us at the cellular level in our bodies. And when we're having this transformation happen, and this is how it can be so healing, this purple energy is like vibrating at the same frequency as the violet light of the universe. So it's super powerful. So this connection between love and sexual energy is vital for our sexuality to serve its purpose. Okay, so energy blocks. In nature, for example, simple tribal people, this alchemization system operates normally. This is why you can have tribes with zero crime and social problems. Another interesting thing noticed about them is that a lot of them will have no muscle, but be incredibly strong as well, because what they're doing is they're actually channeling chi through their muscles and tendons, which is something we learn how to do in Qigong, but just naturally doing it. When people start to move away from nature, the energy system starts to block. Often the catalyst for this is trauma. Now, one of the I don't know if you call her an anthropologist or a psychologist that was studying these people, she's written a book called The Continuum Concept. And she actually talks about when there's a trauma and there's a war and a kind of generation is lost. Yeah, that's when this whole system starts kind of falling into chaos, which is kind of what's happened to us, and especially when you look at, all the loss of life in the world wars and different wars and so on. As well as like a lot of persecutions, a lot of people being put to death for spurious reasons and so on. It's just compounded like trauma into, for example, if you look specifically like European people over like 1,000 years, you had the witch trials, you had so much traumatization that you ended up having then people turn around and go off and start colonizing the whole world because they were like in such a state of chaos and disconnection from source that all they could see is let's just go off and just trash the whole globe, basically, because of the disconnection from this original spiritual source energy and the sexual repression. And you probably know people that are more comfortable with their sexuality are a lot happier as well. So trauma starts to affect the functioning of the energy system. And then humans try to take control with law, order, religion, education, and morality. So if you look at the Tao Te Ching, it actually says like morality is not a good way. The good way is to be in the balance with the Tao. So, for example, in its state of natural alchemy, sexual energy rises up the body and is an impetus for love, creativity, healing, and spirituality. When we're taught to repress it, the energy becomes blocked, separating us from the positive values and causing sexual frustration and urges to build up and cause the experience of sexuality to turn into a negative thing. And interestingly enough, like if you imagine our ancestors, like with no education, no civilization, no morality, and they're in the nature and jungle or whatever, and they naturally maybe, guy meets girl and they have the first feeling of the sexual energy. And if all that system is working beautifully, the sexual energy is going to rise up into the belly. It's going to come up into the heart. They're going to start connecting and sharing this beautiful love together. And that will actually then travel up into the third dantian up here, where it will actually start activating the higher consciousness. And everything just works fine as long as our systems aren't blocked. But unfortunately, most of us aren't in that state. So I'm going to go more into this tomorrow. Okay, let's just look at programming as well. So belief systems and programming are the major reason why this energy becomes blocked. The idea that sexual energy is shameful and should be hidden literally stops this flow. This causes the energy to build up in the genitals due to a blockage in the lower belly. It causes tension, which results in sexual frustration, frequent need to release, or sexual shutdown. So it can go one way or the other, but the point is it's not in balance. Often there will be lumps and discomfort in the groin. Fear of love, which often develops as a baby due to the lack of healthy physical affection, causes a block right under the heart as the body tries to protect the soul by preventing the opening of the love in the heart. Our morality-based system of understanding sexuality is based on these sexual blockages and demonizes the result of an illiterate morality, which is volatile sexual urges resulting from blocked meridians. So it's like become this self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, so I think tomorrow I'm going to go a little bit more into sexual blockages. Now I'm just, okay, yeah, first of all, I want to offer everybody who's still here now after 45 minutes, I want to offer you all a opportunity to get a free resource from me. This is not something I normally give out for free, okay? And I kind of have a choice as well that you can have. Okay, I'm going to just ask you this, yeah, please. take a screenshot with your mobile, okay, and stick this on your story on Instagram or Facebook and tag me into it, and then send me a message on my WhatsApp number. Okay, you've got my WhatsApp number here. Let me give it to you again. Right, I have like these resources. They're normally things people have paid like £72 for, but they're worth like £300. Like I've got some amazing masterclasses explaining about everything from how to give lingam massage to genital reflexology, like with literal videos showing how to do it. I have one about creating financial abundance. I think some people here have already seen that. Yeah, if you want any of these free resources or these resources for free that are not usually free resources, I should say, just drop me that message. Just give me a couple sentences about what you're looking for, and I'll suggest to you what I've got that might work for you, and then send that over to you like via WhatsApp. So, okay, all right. I got loads of 7s, yeah, which is you guys want to start learning this exercise about how to actually start getting in touch with your sexual energy, okay? And you want to start learning how do we connect these two energy centers, okay? So I'm going to just show you right now a little bit of Taoist hacking. I just stuck my WhatsApp number in there. I just put it there. Oh, I just sent it to my assistant, not to me, not to everybody. Sorry. So I'm interested if you never did. Oh, 16. Okay, if you've never ever done any kind of a Taoist hack before, give me a 5 in the chat. I just want to know like how much I need to explain this if I've got people here that didn't do it. Okay, no worries. Amazing. You're starting today. Woohoo! I'm excited for you. Okay, so it's really, really simple because wherever, okay, so that means for all you guys, this is like your first one of these workshops. So definitely like message me on WhatsApp and get that resource off of me, because you're going to love these. Yeah, it's kind of like this, but this is the free one and that's the paid one that I'm offering to give you basically. Okay. So it's really, really simple. It's like if you've ever watched like Bruce Lee or these like movies, you know, about martial arts, right? It's so simple. Wherever your attention goes, the energy flows, right? You know? But then it's a little bit more complex, because imagine this, like you're walking into the train station and there's a guy and he's just sitting there and he's just staring at you. You know, and this person is staring at you. You're just like, oh, okay, this is a little bit weird. Like you're automatically going to have an uncomfortable feeling to the stare. Whereas if you walk in the train station and someone's there and they're looking at you and they're smiling at you, right? You're going to be like, oh, let's smile too, you know, and everybody's getting infected as the smiles start going around. And this is kind of how it works, because as I said at the beginning, these exercises are powerful. They're powerful exercises. So when we send the energy, we kind of want to filter it. Okay. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to go a little bit into basically the breathing is really, really important. Okay. It's important that you're breathing in and out of your belly with your thoracic diaphragm moving up and down. All right. So let's start by taking a few breaths into the belly and shutting our eyes. And with each breath in, I want you to feel you're just breathing in the divine, universal, loving energy. And with each exhale, breathe any tension or just anything that doesn't belong there in your body out. And as you're doing this, I invite you to shut your eyes. And bringing your attention to your eyes, you can notice that your eyelids are shut, but your eyeballs obviously can still see, and what you can see now is the back of your eyelids, which is kind of boring to look at. So I invite you now to turn your attention inward and just visualize that you're looking right back 180 degrees and you're looking into your brain. And now from your brain, look down your throat into your mouth, down your throat, down your chest, and bring your attention to where you feel your heart is. So I usually go to the heart center, in the center of my chest. And I like to place my hands over my heart because it helps me to connect. And almost like send a little bit of a cheeky grin then into my heart, you know? It's almost as if you're bumping into some old long lost friend and you're seeing them, you're connecting eye to eye and you're smiling, and you know that beautiful feeling you get when someone smiles. Smile is incredibly powerful. In fact, when we raise the corners of the lips, the corners of the eyes raise too, and in fact, even the organs inside the body lift and raise up a little bit. And there's even, when we smile, there's actually a teeny little pulling up in the pelvic floor as well. And the pelvic floor is really important because it actually holds our organs in the body. The last thing anyone wants is a prolapse. And that's what actually happens when the chi is like dropping out the bottom of your body. So, smiling into your heart. I want you to visualize a fire, the element of fire, and feel yourself connecting with that fire element and the color red. And as you visualize, you start to actualize, and you can feel that red energy is filling your heart and spreading out into your chest. I invite you to just welcome any feelings that are coming in right now. You may feel a beautiful, expansive, blissful feeling. Sometimes when we do this exercise in a powerful way, sadness and pain can come up too. And we just do the same. We smile to the pain, we smile to the sadness. There's no feelings that are bad. There's no feelings that are good. They just are. And just know that whatever you're feeling is perfect. And I invite you now to just visualize that you're taking this red energy into a bowl the size of a tennis ball, and you're placing it there into your heart. And we're going to leave it in our heart. As we move our hands down and place them over the sexual center, so where the womb is on the woman, just above your pubic bone. And we smile to the sexual center. And in the sexual center, you can connect with the element of water. And you can notice that this connects to the kidneys as well as the sexual organs. And you can feel that this is like a blue energy, something like a blue lake on a still summer's day. And notice that although this lake is calm and still and peaceful, it's also incredibly powerful. You can notice that this energy contains your DNA, which is ancestral wisdom and knowledge that has been handed to you by your ancestors. And you can notice that this connects you to all of humanity, all of your ancestors, and everyone that was, and everyone that is to be. And now coming back to that space of your sexual center, I invite you to visualize that you're walking into a cave. And in the center of the cave, you notice a fire. And sitting around the fire are a lot of old people. And they're talking, they're telling stories. And these old people are your ancestors. And they're sharing wisdom and knowledge to you. Wisdom and knowledge that is in your DNA that you can activate and connect with to make your life better. I invite you to thank them. And then come back to this blue energy, which is you can form into a ball that you hold in your hands. And in a moment, we're going to move this ball of blue energy. So I'm going to explain to you what we do, and then we're going to do it all together. So what we're going to do is we'll use the hands to guide the ball of energy up to the heart, but we're going to use our intention at the same time to visualize and move the ball. And we're going to do this as we're breathing in and making a sucking sound, like, okay, so I invite you to breathe out all the way, and then breathe in with a sucking sound. And bring this energy up and place it into your heart. And smile to your heart as you feel that this red energy is combining with this blue energy that you've brought up. And you may feel these energies uniting, connecting together, vibrating more rapidly and spreading out through your body. And then I invite you to exhale and move the red energy from your heart down to your sexual center. And you can visualize this like that there's a sun setting, an orange sun setting over your blue lake, bringing warmth and warming your sexual center. And you can smile there into the sexual center, feeling that this energy is now becoming something like a lilac color. And again, when you're ready, exhaling out all the way. And then breathing in with a sound. Sending this energy up to your heart, placing it in your heart and smiling to your heart. And feel this energy transforming, and now it's becoming more like a purple color. And if you relax, you can tune into the vibrations and feel them as your heart is opening and spreading the energy out through your body, starting to heal and rejuvenate your body at the cellular level. And when you're ready, again, exhale and bring that energy from your heart down into your sexual center. Smiling into your sexual center. And feeling that purple energy is growing in your sexual center. So now the sexual center is less blue and it's more purple. And again, exhaling out all the way and breathing in. And placing this energy back into your heart. Smiling into your heart and noticing your heart center is purple. Your sexual center is purple. And that they are connected by purple lines of energy going up and down. And then exhaling. Breathing down the red energy. And inhaling. Bringing up the blue energy. Exhale. Inhale. Just tuning into this energy and noticing that you've now started to create a program in your body, which is just your original programming. And that's the idea with these exercises, is that we want to return back to our original programming. To be like simple people living in nature, who have many advantages over us. But we can actually learn to have the advantages of living in the modern society, whilst also taking control of the energy field and learning to be able to actually work with the energy. So this is one of the first steps. And what you've just done is you've just cultivated, you've moved, and you've transformed energy. And I love doing this in a group. It's kind of why I asked everybody at the beginning where they're from, because it's so interesting to see how we're doing this practice together, but we're almost creating this grid across the world and just sending this love out, you know, into the world, which I think right now is more important than ever before. You know, or certainly for a while, given the war that's just recently started, you know, that all we can hope for is just healing on both sides, and that love really can prevail, because there's not really any other answer, you know, apart from healing trauma. And everyone's got their traumas and everyone's throwing them at each other, and then it becomes on a global stage that countries are throwing their traumas at each other. And it's just very damaging. And if we as individuals can start working through our traumas to be able to work with and increase and heal our ability to love, we're just doing the most that I think that we can do for this world. So I'm super interested in any feedback, what anybody experienced. If anybody wants to stick their mic on and speak or type into the chat, you can type into the group chat. If you feel shy, you're more than welcome to just send me a private message as well. Oh, by the way, did anybody figure out the answer of why that guy had that result so fast? Anybody figure that out? Yeah, he got me. He unblocked his energy. I showed him how to unblock the energy, and the pace of how it works for different people. Yeah, unblocking energies, exactly. You know, so something had just been blocked there. He'd been fighting and fighting and fighting, and this is what it can be like, that you're literally like fighting, you know, battling uphill, upstream, trying to go up the stream with a broken paddle. Or we can turn around and we can start going with the flow and actually use a decent proper paddle instead, you know. So this is kind of like one of our actually more basic one of the more basic of the exercises. This is like what I would say is we're doing now is we're working with sexual energy on this spiritual level. Later on, we start working with the actual sexual energy directly. So this is when you start getting full body orgasms, which of course is what Taoism is famous for, because when this sexual energy unblocks and the orgasm happens in the body, as opposed to in the genitals, and everyone's like, yeah, I want full body orgasms, you know, but it's very much also about, this is about a shift in consciousness. You know, people can squeeze their perineum and try to force the energy up as much as they want, but without this shift in consciousness, which is to do with our relationship with our emotions and our traumas and so on as well. It's always going to be like it almost gets there, but it doesn't quite get there. So it's really super important to do work with the energies and the emotions before basically before doing this other kind of work. So I see I'm finishing like right on time. I'm just going to check if anybody over on Facebook has stuck any questions they want to answer. Anyone got a question? I'm going to be answering questions on Thursday as well. So oh yeah, here. Okay. All right, yeah, no questions. EastEnders is boring. Okay. All right. Many emotions, many feelings. Yeah, I mean, you know, when we start doing stuff with sexual energy, like loads of emotions, loads of feelings, start coming up. It's beautiful to do them all together, Marta, right? Yeah, it's so nice when when we start, because what sexual energy does is it amplifies. Okay, so whatever blockages are there in the body, it amplifies, which works well. Yeah, totally. You're going to have the replay emailed to you, I expect, tomorrow. It starts to amplify whatever the blockages are, or if it's not a blockage, it amplifies that as well. That's why you can have sexual energy. You can get really, really blissful. You can also get really terrible feelings. Why people can start arguing and fighting, especially people with a lot of traumas that become lovers. They might be really, really in love, but they start fighting because of their traumas, basically. And tomorrow I want to go more into, hopefully people can have the space to do that, because it's amazing when we can do these exercises together. But tomorrow I want to go a little bit into like how we can start like working to unblock these energies. And I mean, when I teach people this stuff, like I kind of teach it over a period, often depends which, I can go up to 20 weeks, you know, which is teaching like a lot of very, very in detail stuff. So yeah, just to give like a kind of idea that this is all a process that happens over weeks. So I'm giving you like a small amount, as much as I can give you over these few days, just to kind of give you a taster, get you started. And so you can see if this is something you might be interested in discussing with me. If you want to see, would it be a fit for you to take this to further, to further levels, essentially. So, okay, guys. So I'm so looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Enjoy your night or your day or whatever time zone you're in. Bye-bye. Thank you, Ava. So nice to see you here again. Let me stop recording.